Let's go straight into Bitcoin and look at what's happening. I mean, amazing. We can see a massive, nice rally here for Bitcoin. We're going up. Right now, we are at $93.4 thousand, and it looks like we're gonna approach the next level of resistance, which lies around about $96.5 thousand per Bitcoin. And here's what I think will happen next. Very brief and short to tell you guys what I think will happen. We're gonna go to the 200 simple moving average before we go down. Now, why do I think that will happen? Well, let's zoom out a bit. And we're gonna zoom out. We're on the daily chart here, and we have in orange the halvings. So each halving cycle we have marked in orange, right? And these are every 4 years since the first one here, the first significant one in 2012. And basically, once we start going into a bear market, so we had the all-time high right here, right? We had the all-time high. And once we start going down, and this is the blue line, is the 200 simple moving average line, right? And it's just taking the average price over 200 candlesticks, 200 days, because we're on a daily chart. The moment we go down, you can see here, the moment we break below the 200 simple moving average, we do have a retest at some point in the future. We have a retest, we test the line again. Here we tested it 2 times, and then we eventually go into a bear market for the next couple of months. But at what point do we go into, the retest? And the retest here, the first time, the moment we broke the 200 simple moving average line, around 70 days after, we retested and then we went down. Now let's go to the second cycle, right? The second cycle is here. We made an all-time high right here. All-time high was around about $20,000 in 2018. That was a good time to buy Bitcoin. The moment we went below, we went here below, then we went above again. But the moment we went below, about 90 days after, you can see here, it's about 90 days after, we retested the 200 simple moving average line before we then went down for a couple of months, clearly until we went down all the way to like $3,000. Now let's go to the last cycle, right, which was in 2020. It started, we hit a peak of around about here, $69,000. Then we went down. And look at this, we went down, we retested the 200 simple moving average line approximately 90 days after we broke below it. Now, we see a pattern, right? 3 times in a row, we had the same thing happening. And if we go to the current cycle, which had a peak of around about $126,000 per Bitcoin, we went below the 200 simple moving average pretty much here. And now if we assume 90 days, same like before, that means we should be retesting the 200 simple moving average line, which is this blue line here. Let me actually zoom in a bit so we can open it up more. So if we retest the 200 simple moving average line, which is gonna move down slowly because the average is going down, we should be retesting it at around about this point in time, which is around about, I think it's in February. Yeah, it's here on the beginning of February. So we have about 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks where I think we can be going upwards before we then start going down, and eventually, in my opinion, start going into a bear market like the last few times for the next couple of months. So with that being said, what do I think will happen next? Well, let's zoom in a bit and actually let's put across something called the volume profile, which I've been showing a couple of times already. And if we zoom out here and reset this, we will see at what point we have most of our volume happening, right? And you can see here on the left, the most of the volume, it goes out most is at this price point. And that price is pretty much aligning with here. Let's put it like this. And here, if we zoom in now, we can see it aligns around about here, which is just below this, this support. I can remove it now. And you can see here, it's just below this support line, right, where we bounced from. And yeah, that's the next level of pretty much resistance. So if we break above, around about this price point, 96,000, 96.5 thousand, if we manage to go above here, the next point is the 200 simple moving average line, which is currently sitting at $106.6 thousand per Bitcoin. So a good thing to do, in my opinion, if you want to get rid of some Bitcoins, for example, before buying some more at the, more down at the price point where we go into more of a bear market, is to sell close to the 200 simple moving average line, assuming that we are going to have this same retest, which I very much think will happen. So, or then you can also, of course, short. If you want to start shorting from around 106,000, actually you can start shorting from anywhere above like 97,000 to like 106,000. From here onwards, you can start taking shorts, because I think for the next few months after that, we're gonna start going down until we have, of course, more liquidity come in the market, lower interest rates, more money printing, and of course the same thing like after 2020 with COVID happened, everything started shooting up. And therefore, another reason I think we are going up is if I put across the EMA ribbons. And the EMA ribbons also, you can see they're starting to flip bearish. You can see here on the bottom, they're going up again. And that just supports my idea that we are now in the short term going up before we are going to go down. One thing, however, to note is the CME gaps. And the CME gaps are gaps that are formed over the weekend where there's no trading activity on the regular markets. And these gaps, where the price jumps, usually get filled. And we can see two gaps right now, right? We can see one gap right here and another gap from last weekend. And the gaps have a price of approximately, here we go, 88,000. Let me put this horizontal line here. It's about here, 88,000. And the bottom of this gap is right here. So these are the two gaps. We put it at the bottom because we have to have the bottom filling. 88,000 and 91,000. So these gaps usually fill 95% of the time, rather sooner than later. They do tend to be filled. Now what will happen is interesting. If we do go higher until 107, what could happen is we go to our resistance, which we said was about 96, right? We said it was about 96 here. Then we might go down, fill the gap before we go to like 107. Or of course, that's a big jump, because I do think we're going to go to 107. We could tomorrow potentially, or during the course of this week, see a retest down to the $88,000 region before we then go higher to 107 and then eventually go into a bear market. That's my analysis. That's what I think will happen. Hope you guys liked it. Leave a like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye.